Jeremy Small, who's returning the cage for Seasons Beatings this year and on November 21st in Lincoln. Um, hey, man, tell me a little about yourself. Tell me a little about your background.
Uh, I grew up wrestling since about second grade, and oh, I got second at state my senior year, and had a couple offers to wrestling college for some regional colleges like Hastings, and back when Blair was still around, and decided to just get into training mixed martial arts instead and started fighting. I think I started training uh, a month before I graduated, and then had my first fight a couple months after.
Man, you've been in the game for a long time, but you seem to have some pretty big gaps between your fights. Tell me a little bit about kind of your fighting career and kind of why you're here.
Well, whenever we first started fighting amateur, between 2007 and 2010, I think I had 32 amateur fights, and it was, I think the first oh, big push where everyone started fighting and everything like that, and we just started fighting pretty often, and probably a lot more often than we should have. Like there was a couple times where we'd fight, 4 weekends in a row, basically, and no break in between, and kind of probably got burnt out a little bit for a while, and yeah.
Okay. Um, Describe to me, kind of for people that don't know you, kind of describe to me who Jeremy Small is and who he is as a fighter.
I mean, the early days, I was definitely just a straight wrestler, and would go for the submissions. Started doing jujitsu right after started fighting, picked that up, and as the years have gone on, I've been trying to do more and more uh, with my stand up and not rely so much on my wrestling. And, but pretty safe to say I'm still a grappler at heart.
Um, where are you training out of these days?
Training with at the Precision Combat Center over here on Saltillo here in Lincoln.
Okay, so you
With
already you
yeah,
relocated
with
from
Nate
Omaha to
Morrow.
Lincoln.
Yeah, well, I was trained in Omaha for oh a little while at Premier and stuff for a few years, and then uh, oh, was in Crete for main most of my amateur, and then started coming up in Lincoln last uh, few fights.
Obviously, you live in a small town. Tell me about kind of the challenges and such of having to travel to camp and stuff like that.
This time it's not as bad. Before, whenever it was still Dynamic Edge, up on the northeast part of Lincoln, or yeah, whenever we're going to Omaha, that's quite a bit of travel. Luckily now, where the gym's at, it's right here on 14th and Saltillo, so it's only about 25-minute drive to get to the gym, which is a lot nicer than having to drive 45 minutes to the other side of Lincoln and through traffic and all that stuff.
How's this camping going for you?
Good, good. Uh, Started a couple months ago whenever Henry came to me about the fight, and started getting back into it. Had a couple hand injuries. I had to uh, make sure it was going to be fine, and those have been holding up pretty well. So it's been a good one.
I did a little bit of looking at your record, and all of your fights have ended in submission or finish that you've won. Talk to me a little bit about that and kind of your game plan going in and wanting to finish things that way.
Uh, yeah, I mean, especially in the amateur days anyway, but professional, just going in and just seeing opportunity come up with a rear naked choke or arm triangle, something like that. It helps to have pretty long arms, so being able to fall into that. I don't know if I was necessarily looking for the finish right away, but just took the opportunity when it came, because you never know what can happen in a fight.
Man, you've kind of had a roller coaster career to this point. Have you changed your approach to the cage this go around? Are you doing anything different in this camp to get ready?
Uh, a little bit. Been was focusing a little more on uh, boxing and stand up kickboxing, stuff like that, and just getting more comfortable, being able to stand there longer instead of sometimes you get hit a couple times and the wrestler comes out and go for a shot or something like that. So just pushing through that. And
I mean, your opponent, Sean, I mean, he's undefeated as a pro fighter. I mean, obviously young in his career. Um, how does that motivate you, and how do you think you match up against him with your experience versus his, kind of inexperience?
uh I I mean, with his inexperience, I mean, I might have more I don't calming, or I don't want to say fight IQ in the cage, because he's a smart guy, and uh his fights have been more recent than mine, and so that I don't probably matches up pretty well with that.
Um, how would you describe yourself, your striking and grappling balance? I mean, obviously you've won a lot of fights by submission. How would you consider your balance there?
Uh, I think it's still oh favored on the grappling side of it, but in the last few years, I think my boxing especially is starting to uh, come around more, and uh, being able to feel more comfortable on my feet, I guess I should say.
Man, you've been in the game for a long time. How do you feel your style and your fight has evolved through the years?
Definitely has evolved, being more well-rounded instead of just go out, go for that first takedown right away and try to either get some ground and pound or a choke or something like that. Being, like I said, being more comfortable on my feet and standing and uh, doing that, I've definitely evolved, being more well-rounded.
Let's rewind a little bit here. You've been in this for a long time. What got you into fighting in the first place?
Yeah, it's hard to say, because I remember watching in high school, watching the UFC cards and saying, "Oh man, there's no way in hell I'd want to do that." Getting punched in the face and stuff like that. And then, oh right whenever it was graduating, the gym, a little pop up gym that opened up in in Crete, and they were by Nate Walenta, and he was a really good boxing coach, and he was doing MMA as well. And a couple of buddies of mine were train, so I joined them for one and kind of just fell in love with it.
Um, when and what made you decide to go from the amateur levels to the pro levels?
Oh, I probably have. I mean, we had, like I said, we had fought so many amateur fights back in the day, and seen a couple other people go pro. And I remember it was my fight against Cameron Smith, I believe, and where I was threw a lot more on my feet and everything like that. So I just felt like it was time to go pro and start making a little money from it.
Um, let's see. You've been doing this for a long time. Are there any like moments that stick out in your mind as far as in your fight career that you've learned a lot from, that you've been able to take a lot away from, and just those times that just are very memorable to you as far as fighting?
Uh, just just traveling a lot with going to different fights with my teammates, and a lot of them were really good friends, and just traveling around the region. My dad would pack us all in a minivan, get us in. He actually rented out a place in Crete in a little strip mall where we would train, and had our gym there. And I mean, just the great times training with friends and stuff like that.
I believe you are pretty good friends with like Charlie Dubray and Chad Obermiller and those guys, right? That's kind of the crew you used to run around with.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, from your perspective, being somebody that's been in the fight scene for a long time, how have you seen it evolve, and where do you see that the community heading? And
Uh, I mean, it's crazy now with the kids that are getting involved in it. I mean, some of them have been doing kickboxing and wrestling, jiu-jitsu, and everything like that all through high school. And so as soon as they turn 18, they're starting to fight. So uh, I guess the has evolved tremendously compared to, you know, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. And people, oh man, yeah, that'd be fun. Just they'd pull people out of the crowd on some of those cards. But yeah, just the talent with these young kids is pretty pretty impressive to see.
outside of fighting and training, I mean, what does Jeremy Small's day look like?
I go to work. I work at Glass Edge in Lincoln. I used to do it's a commercial glass and frame installation, and used to be on the commercial side. I've transferred now over to the shower door and mirror department, so go do that. And I a couple of years ago took over as head coach at the Crete Wrestling Club. So that we just the season couple weeks, or I think last week. So going to work and going to wrestling practice and training. That I have 3 kids and a wife, so pretty days.
Sounds super busy. Um, what would
Yeah.
fans be surprised to know about you outside of the cage?
Uh, I'm a pretty down to earth. I like to think of myself as a probably might be surprised. I know some of the wrestlers are that I'm actually a pretty nice guy. I, some of them have been not scared, but I like to be serious and everything. But I'm a little bit of a goofball.
That's great to hear, man. I mean, it's you gotta have that fun side of yourself, right? Especially when you're coaching and stuff. Man, if you weren't
Oh yeah.
fighting, what do you think you'd be doing with your
Oh
life?
yeah. Uh, Not sure really. Probably would have gotten a bit of trouble and stuff like that, but it really helped, especially with the martial arts side of it. It teaches you discipline and realize that you may think you're tough, but there's always someone tougher out. There's always someone tougher.
Um, Man, what can fans expect to see from you at season's beatings?
I think you can expect to see a pretty exciting fight. I mean, Lee. I mean, I'm 36 years old, and uh, probably going to be. Might consider doing another boxing match here and there. Next year or something like that. But this will probably be my last MMA. So I'm gonna go out with a bang.
Any shout outs you want to give? Coaches, teammates, family, sponsors, anything like that?
Yeah. I mean, my wife, number one, because it's you know pretty difficult to. I come home a lot of the days. I'll come home from work and be there for maybe 30, 45 minutes before I have to leave, go to training. By the time she has to, feed the kids and stuff like that. Thank for my parents for always supporting me, especially my dad. Like I said, he was a probably wouldn't be into fighting if it wasn't for him. And in the early days, he put on the gym, and for all of us, so that was really good. And training partners, and Robert Ross is coaching, Robert Anderson, all the guys there, and Nate Morrow and Ben, then like Scott Hansen. He's always getting me fights, and he's a good guy. The fans for supporting us, because there's no way we'd be doing this if it wasn't for them. And then sponsors, like to shout out Pretty Wounds Tattoo by Dakota Raddick, Pastor Construction, Get You Some Safety, which is my company, Good Life Construction, Scott's company, Braden Lee Photography, my sister-in-law, and MC Plumbing. And thank you for hosting us.
Before I let you go, I got one more question for you. So I was sitting here looking at your record. I didn't even think about the fact you're
Yeah.
training with Robert Rojas. Somebody you fought a couple of times. What is it? How does it feel to be getting coached by somebody that you fought against a couple times?
It's a different experience. I mean, I brought it up in the gym a couple of times to a couple guys because they had no idea that 15 years ago, however long it was, that I had fought Rojas. It was pretty funny. Our first fight. I heard later on, Obi had said that he preparing for that fight, he hated me because he was Jeremy Small for about 2 months of just uh, stopping to take that, or he'd have to shoot on Rojas and get beat up. And yeah, he whooped me pretty damn good the first time because he stuffed my shots and thing like that. And then our second fight was a couple months later, and had him in an arm bar, just wrenching on it, and he was hyper excited. He said it was in a sling for a month or two after that, but he ended up reversing and getting the win there. But it's a pretty surreal experience, and I mean, can't name someone better that I'd want to have be training right now. I mean, he's a beast.
Well, man, hey, thanks for your time. Be sure to check out Jeremy next Friday on MMA Futures Live at Dynasty Combat Sports. man, we'll be sure to we're excited to see you fight again.
Yeah, thanks for having.